There you go, Chair. I'll hand it back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Gordon. Welcome then to Rotherham CCG's public governing body meeting. Welcome to anyone who is watching. We'll make a start. We have apologies from Dr. DaCosta. I assume we have apologies from our public health liaison as well. However, we are quorate. Are there any declarations of interest on any of the items in the agenda? Okay. In which case we'll just do a round of introductions. So I'm Richard Cullen, I'm the chair of the CCG and a GP in Rotherham. John?
Hello, I'm John Barber, I'm the lay member for governance.
Debbie?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Debbie Twell. I'm lay member for patient and public engagement.
Ruth?
Ruth Note-Brown, Assistant Chief Officer, NHS Rotherham.
Sue?
Good afternoon, I'm Sue Casson, I'm the Chief Nurse at the CCG.
Wendy?
Good afternoon, I'm Wendy Allett, Chief Finance Officer at the CCG.
Janet?
Good afternoon, I'm Janet Wheatley, I'm lay member for primary care.
Chris?
Hello, I'm Chris Edwards, I'm the Accountable Officer for the CCG.
Ian?
Ian Atkinson, CCG Exec Director for the Rotherham Place.
Jason?
Hi, Jason Page, I'm a GP and Vice Chair.
David? Roach?
David Roach, Cabinet Member for Public Health, Adult Social Care and Chair of the Health and Wellbeing Board in Rotherham.
Jeff?
Hi, Jeff Avery, GP and Chair of Members Committee.
Simon?
Simon McEwen, Vice Chair of the GP Members Committee.
And David Clitheroe.
David Clitheroe, GP.
Okay, welcome everybody. Do we have any patient or public questions, Ruth?
No, Chair, we've not received any.
Okay, that's fine. Just a reminder, anyone watching, if you want to submit a question pertaining to the agenda, we will try and answer it. Okay. Minutes of the last meeting for accuracy and anything arising that isn't on the agenda or in the action log. Page 1. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay, thank you there. We'll take those in accurate record. Thank you, Lindsay. Public action log. OD plan, Chris.
Yeah, so this is April 21, Chair, isn't it? It's a post-COVID plan, so I'm going to have to be flexible on the dates, I think, when we fully understand when that post-COVID world will arrive.
2 green, and then Ruth, the corporate assurance report. That's coming in January, isn't it? That's okay.
All right, yes, Chair, that's diarised for January.
Right, okay. Chris then, Chief Officer's report.
Thank you, Chair. So a few things to cover this month. So the first one is the 1920 CCG annual assessment. Just to remind governing body members, the national, all CCGs, 190 CCGs nationally are assessed. There's 4 ratings, either inadequate, requires improvement, good or outstanding. 10% of CCGs roughly got the outstanding rating, of which we were one. So for the second year running, we've been rated outstanding. So thank you to everybody for that. In the next part of the report focuses on the COVID-19 response. We were notified that we returned to level 4. So if you'll remember, in wave 1 earlier in the year, we went to level 4, emergency level 4 in the NHS, which effectively means we moved to a command and control situation where NHS England assumed that responsibility. During the summer, we went down to level 3, but we were notified that we returned to level 4 formally as we reached the second wave of the pandemic. So just for formality, we returned to level 4 on the 5th of November and remain in it to date. Just moving down, we have the EU exit. So again, we mustn't forget that we have, as a country, decided to leave the EU, and the transition period ends in December, as this month. And there's quite a few implications for the NHS, most notably the supply of prescription drugs, amongst other things. And we're keeping a very close eye and working very closely with the national team to make sure we manage to mitigate those concerns wherever possible. So we'll just keep governing body up to date with all communications in relation to Brexit. The next agenda, the next part of the report, apologies, is the pathway for children's emergency service. Again, just to remind governing body members, during wave 1 of the pandemic, we moved to a model where Sheffield Children's performed emergency surgery on behalf of South Yorkshire, and the district generals maintained some services, but not the emergency element of the surgery. We stepped that down during the summer, but now the second peak's arrived. We've returned to that model to enable us to make services sustainable. So we'll keep a close eye on that, and we will move back to the original model most likely when, as we did in the summer, when the second wave has finished. I'll keep going. The COVID vaccination update. Now, this is really hard to update on because it does change so fast. I mean, we've seen in the announcement this morning that the Pfizer vaccine has been licensed in the UK. The reason this changes so much is due to the nature of the drugs. All the drugs are very different. They need different logistical challenges in terms of storage, in terms of administrating to patients, and in terms of supply and licensing. So it is a moving agenda which moves literally day by day. So we'll just keep everyone up to date. It's very positive news, I think, in terms of our preparedness. We are ready as a place and a South Yorkshire NHS to start administrating these vaccines, and our primary care networks will be the key source of delivery in terms of that. So we'll keep governing body members up to date, but the BBC website probably will be a good a source as any as well, because the comms is all coming out on a national basis. But it's good news. We're making great progress, and hopefully we can have a real strong campaign in Rotherham over the next couple of months. So just a couple of things on communications. So there was media coverage around the flu vaccine. So the flu vaccine, we were advised to further administer it to 50 to 64-year-olds. So that's something we're working on with our GPs, who are working incredibly busy trying to administer those vaccines. We're also got increased pressure as we approach winter, and we're advising the comms messages is now about using 111 and not walk before you talk. So make sure, talk before you walk, I should say, not walk before you talk, talk before you walk. So people to use triaging services like NHS 111 to ensure they're on the best possible pathway in terms of solving their health problem, but also making sure we use our resources as efficiently as possible. And also the successful mental health service, which offers digital support for mental health and wellbeing for Rotherham patients, and a crisis number. We're promoting that widely as well, because the digital solution for low-level mental health problems, again, it seems to be a successful way of dealing with a COVID challenge service. So I'll stop there, Chair, and I'll see if anybody's got any questions.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Any questions or comments for Chris? I think I'll just echo your comments. It's been a fantastic job of the CCG colleagues to just get where we are in terms of the COVID vaccinations. Our ability to deliver them when available will just benefit the whole of the Rotherham community. And it was Ian leading that, so I'll congratulate Ian on behalf, and Sue helping in as well. Can I say them on doing that job so quickly and so rapidly? Any other questions, comments? Okay, we'll move on then. Chris, again, Integrated Care Partnership Chief Officer's report.
Again, I'll just take this as a report to receive, Chair. Take any questions if anyone's got any.
Okay. Any questions? Right. Okay. We'll take it as a report. Thank you, Chris. Moving on then. Performance reports, finance and contracting. Wendy.
Thanks, Chair. The report that we're looking at today is the financial report at the end of October, which is the first month within our new month 7 to 12 financial plan. So starting at the top of that report then, we've got cash and payments continuing to be well managed. We're again achieving 100% against the current invoice payment requirements, which is excellent news. If I just move on to the OCS, we've got all of the usual detailed narrative in the body of the report, covering all of the operational areas. But if I could just say a little more, direct to governing body, on the reported overspend position, because I'd just like to give assurance about what is still a balanced plan position underneath what looks like there isn't. So the current reported position is clouded by three things. Firstly, we've got a series of outstanding allocations linked to the additional roles reimbursement scheme in primary care and some other areas of primary care, but all of which we expect to receive next month. In fact, I now know we have them, but it's just because we're a month behind in terms of reporting. The second thing is, as at October, we had our month 6 COVID claims outstanding, but again, we will be reimbursed for those by the time we see next month's report. And finally, regarding the hospital discharge programme, NHSE are operating this on a retrospective funding mechanism, and therefore we will incur this spend and therefore overspend every month and be reimbursed for it the following month. So in terms of what this means for the reported position at month 7 that you're looking at, the bottom line is showing we've got a 3.1 million year-to-date overspend, but 2.1 million of that relates to the month 6 COVID spend that we will be reimbursed for. That leaves us 1.1 million. So when you project that forward, this is how we get a £2 million forecast outturn. However, that £2 million is made up of the outstanding additional roles allocation and the other primary care funding, which we will receive. And the residual 928 is related to hospital discharge programme. And again, we can expect to be reimbursed for that. Beyond that, there are some minor operational variances and nothing that at this point in time would tell us we are moving away from our balanced plan position. So I just wanted to make that clear. And hopefully next month, we'll be able to set out what is a really transparent and very obviously balanced position when we've got all these allocation adjustments sorted. So as I say, the rest of the details in the report as usual. I'm happy to take any questions, but otherwise I'll pause there.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. Any questions for Wendy? Jeff?
Welcome back, Wendy.
Thanks, Jeff. Nice to be back.
Yeah, just from sort of before a month or so ago, that sort of plan was that we were sort of quite heavily sort of in the red, which in essentially sort of saying we still are, but effectively when you account for that, that's far closer to sort of being sort of balanced than we thought we were a month or so ago. Is that a correct reflection?
It's a different set of numbers, Jeff. We were a few months ago, we were looking to close a gap to get to a balanced position, which we then achieved. We're now showing an overspend against that balanced position, but it's because of some of the assumptions that we made haven't yet come true, but they will come true. So does that clear it up?
Yes.
Is that what you were saying?
Yes, I was looking at it, that it looked more encouraging, even though there's a
Yes.
big at the end of it. But
it is. That's right.
yes. Thank you.
Correct.
Okay, any other questions for Wendy? Okay, thank you then, Wendy. We'll just move
Thank you.
on. Ian, delivery dashboard.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So just work through as I usually do on the dashboard, reporting by exception in terms of the position. So again, it's a similar view to what we've had in the previous month, Chair, in terms of the position on performance, in that overall the system remains really challenged in terms of delivering against national targets in the midst of delivering against what, as Chris was describing in his Chief Officer report, a level 4 emergency response and phase 2 of the COVID response in the borough. So our position on, just to note, our position on A&E, we've continued to see slight reduction on numbers in terms of presentations within the kind of front end of our A&E department as we've gone through, again, through September, October and into November on that basis. But that correlates with us being right in the middle of a wave 2 COVID management. So you can see that those numbers presenting low in comparative to previous years. In terms of how our performance is looking wider than that, again, we continue to be challenged on our 18-week position, holding at that point that we're reporting through September and into October about 69% for Rotherham CCG. Again, quite a long way from where we would have wanted to have been at this point, not reducing beyond the previous position, but again, challenges in there. And governing body members will see that we've kind of continued to hold around about 340 52-week waiters in our system. And again, our focus will continue to be on those elective care elements that are priorities 1 and 2 in how we stratify risk for those patients, and being able to manage those 1 and 2 in terms of our urgent areas. And also, as we come out of this wave 2 of COVID, how do we do target, ensuring that we're targeting long waiters in our system? So a big piece of recovery work to continue to do there. The diagnostic performance follows that. 40% of our diagnostics being achieved within the 6-week wait programme. Again, Rotherham was in the top 20% pre-COVID on that. So again, quite a large distance to cover to get us back into that space. Be mindful again, all these indicators in the context of a regional and national position following suit. In terms of our cancer performance, against 62-day performance, it's slightly improved in the last reporting period, but again, it's not where we'd want it to be or where the national expectation is against national targets. Positively, our IAP position, improving access to psychological therapies, is kind of delivering against the national ask, although we are starting to see increasing numbers flowing through our mental health services. So I hope that just gives a overview by exception, Chair, on the performance in the system. We'll discuss a little bit more in the confidential session, but that just kind of covers it in terms of the information that's in the public domain at this point.
Okay, John.
Yes, Chairman. Ian, I was just going to ask a little bit about the reset plan that we looked at 2 months, 1 month ago, and how the reset plan fits in with this. Is the reset plan still? I presume the reset plan's not actually being fully delivered at the moment, and wasn't that going to mean there was a financial implication for either the trust or ourselves if we didn't deliver it? So it's just really, progress on the reset plan and financial implications of that I would just wanted to check with you.
Yeah, thanks, John. So on the reset plan, governing bodies recall we were required to get back to 18 and then 90% of our elective activity compared to the previous year. Again, we'll go through a bit more of the detail that's come out for the October, but it's not in the published area as yet, John, with regards to that position for October. But what I would say is that given the challenges that we've seen through the October and November period in terms of increased hospital admissions related to COVID patients, the impact on that plan has been experienced. So we'll be able to talk through that in a little bit more in the confidential setting, and then obviously it'll follow through in public next month. I think the national position, I've not seen a view on that in terms of the finances, but the rules of the game were that If you didn't achieve against that, there will be, in effect, you could class as incentives or penalties for the secondary care setting within there. Whether they will be adjusted or not, I've not seen anything further on that in the public domain at the moment, John.
Okay, any other questions for Ian on this? Okay, thank you then, Ian. Sue, patient safety and quality.
Thank you, Chair. I'll go through the report and mention some of the headlines and take any questions if that's okay. So starting at the beginning of the report with the healthcare associated infections, you can see an overview of the work that's ongoing there to monitor, investigate and review all numbers of C. diff, E. coli, and down on through the comparative data with previous years, and then some oversight of some of the work that the CCG infection control prevention and control nurse has undertaken across the system, supporting different parts of the system, GP practices, the hub, preparations to ensure that working in Oak House or entering the building are safe together with health and safety, preparations for the extended flu vaccination programme, and also oversight of infections across the system and advice into there. Moving on down through the work on mortality rates, this has been reviewed today at the contract quality meeting with the Foundation Trust in terms of the work that the medical director and his team are undertaking to review mortality within the trust. And serious incidents and never events. We have got an additional meeting in for the Serious Incident Committee to enable us to performance manage reports that are coming through in larger numbers as the Foundation Trust gets their reports through quality assurance and to submit them as in their final state to us. The safeguarding section down through onto in section 4 on page 5, an overview of some of the work that's ongoing throughout the month and information that has been shared out to our GP practices as well there, and a focus on the work that's been undertaken by the system, not just the CCG teams, and a brief on the care home concerns and CQC reports that have been published, and the work together with the local authority being undertaken where we've needed to there. The spotlight in this section this month is around channel and the channel guidance and counter-terrorism work that we input and facilitate training and information sharing. And there's some of the reports that have been published with regard to safeguarding, linked into safeguarding. Our usual oversight of work that has been undertaken within the multi-agency safeguarding hub related to those children who go missing in the system and where the main areas where they've been, the age ranges and for how long. Delayed transfer of care down through there into section 5. Still, it remains a small number of very complex people who require quite complex packages of care and a lot of input in there to ensure that that discharge is safe and appropriate and the right packages of care there. We've updated in section 6 on continuing healthcare. The strands of the work continue there as being the business as usual, so a return to business as usual. They work against the backlog of those patients who were discharged from hospital between the end of March and in September this year, who were discharged quickly on packages of care to ensure that they are now processed through a full assessment to ensure that the right package of care is in place there, and the establishing of a new discharge pathway from hospital to home or to care package as directed by NHS England, and this is work across the system. So together with the local authority and the Foundation Trust and the Mental Health Trust where appropriate to ensure that. So those 3 strands of work continue across there. The primary care overview, just with the reports, CQC reports that have been published, and quality visits that have been undertaken since the last report. There are details there. I think there are three down there this time, and some oversight there generally of some other aspects, such as our complaints processes and CQC inspections, and assurance reports about aspects of that are also in numbers in the in Ian's reports. That's just some little bits of additional information to underpin some of that work around A&E, some of the cancer standards there, and workforce. The brief overview of associate contracts there, and our Winterbourne submission. So there's the Learning Disability Mortality Review update there, and how that work is progressing through to, we brought last month the first annual report with regard to that. And that's all I was going to mention at this moment in time.
Okay, thank you, Sue. Questions for Sue? Comments? Debbie?
It's not a question, it's just a comment really. Just to say to Sue, I think the amount of work that your team's doing at the moment is phenomenal, and all the extra work that's coming with CHC and the training and support that you can see in this report, I think they need to all be congratulated really, because it's everywhere, isn't it? You know, you're in every single corner shining your torch, and I think it's doing a cracking job, your team, so thank you.
Thank you very much. I will feed that back to them.
Yeah, I think the whole board would pass the thanks to the whole board if you could, Sue.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Chair.
Any other questions or comments for Sue on this paper? I think it's getting to be towards the end of a very long year.
Yeah. And we're still looking for the horizon.
Yeah, well, I think as Chris said, we have to look on the BBC website for the horizon.
Yeah.
The horizon is appearing. Right, okay. Patient and public engagement then, Sue.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I would, if that's okay, just like to read out the first bit of this, which is a reflection that we received anonymously, but we have sought consent to use this and to read it out. So this came through to the Rotherham Older People's Forum, and it's reflections on life in lockdown. I'll apologise now, because every time I read it, it makes me get just a little bit emotional, but I think it gives us a bit of an insight, and probably somewhere where we've all been. So I will just read that out. She opened her eyes to the sounds of children on their way to school. No worrying about coronavirus for them as they laughed and chatted with their friends. She turned on the radio to hear the latest lockdown news. She tried to get her head around the details, but found it all too confusing. Perhaps she would try later. She wondered if any of her children or grandchildren would invite her to a video call today. It wouldn't be the same as giving them a hug, but she was grateful when they took the trouble. She thought that she may phone them. Perhaps later. She stood at the window and waved to a passing neighbour who could no longer pop in for a chat and a cuppa. She thought that she may do some baking and leave it on their doorsteps. Perhaps later. The postman came with a letter from an old friend. She read the letter and put it down on her desk, intending to answer it. Perhaps later. She made breakfast using the last of the cornflakes and thought she would have to make a big effort and go to the local co-op. Perhaps later. She felt anxious at having to go out. She has lost all her confidence and just wants to stay at home. However, she must try to overcome her fears. Perhaps later. The phone rang and it was her GP, asking her to get in touch as she was overdue for her medication review. She wished that she could talk to her doctor face to face, but all he offered these days was a telephone call or a video call. She was hard of hearing and found it difficult to use the phone, and as for a video call, she hadn't the slightest idea how to do that. She thought that she would ask her son to show her, once again, how to do it. Perhaps later. She remembered that it was her granddaughter's birthday next week and got out her checkbook. She sat at her desk staring at the checkbook until she realised that she had forgotten how to fill it in. A tear rolled down her cheek as she put it back in the drawer. She thought she would try again, perhaps later. She spent the rest of the day watching TV. She remembered that someone once called something the opiate of the masses. Nowadays, it was the TV. She went to bed early, curled up with her hot water bottle, and wished that tomorrow would never come. We do know that this person is okay, and this was a reflection on how they felt over a period of time. And I think that we've all been there in somewhat in terms of some of the restrictions, and we constantly have to look around us, don't we? And this kind of information is fed into the system, and we're lucky enough to have several mechanisms to get feedback from people. We just have to keep looking out there to make sure that we do keep getting feedback. The next one, I tried to put something a bit more upbeat in there. This is an excerpt from something that was also fed back to us. Remember that you're not alone. There are many who may be in the same boat as you. There are many people out there who are more than willing to help you. These are dark days, but believe me, these days are not the norm. One day this situation will be over, the sun will shine, doors will be flung open in the community centres, and we'll all be able to get together again. Just imagine the reunions. We'll all be raising the roofs with laughter and singing. We'll all be able to make a bonfire with our masks. The sanitizer will go in the dustbins. It'll be goodbye to the continuous repeats on television. Our friends and relations will be able to knock on the door and pop in for a chinwag. There's so much to look forward to, so please don't sit on your own. You don't have to tolerate depression. There are people out there wanting to hear from you. Your community leaders, your borough and parish and town councillors, Age UK, Rotherham and Rotherford are all willing to help. Please pick up that phone and speak to a friend or relation. People are waiting for your call. I've been there. I know what it's like. I'm speaking from experience. So that's somewhat more positive. And we do know, and I'm sure Debbie will add to it when they've got through this report, in terms of the feedback we've had from the Patient Participation Group Network. We are asked quite often about access to different parts of the system and GP practices, and we do give feedback about how people can access the support that they want and that they need. The friends and family test, moving on to section 2, there has been due to start again this month. We know from our foundation trust and our mental health providers that they're starting that up again and looking at new and innovative ways to collect feedback from patients. And then an overview of some of the work that the CCG patient experience lead has been undertaking throughout the month there. And I'll leave it at that and take questions if that's okay, Chair.
Okay. Debbie,
oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. There was one more thing that I did want to mention, and Debbie will want this to mention this as well. We did get some feedback from the NHS Oversight Framework Patient and Community Engagement Indicator results, didn't we, Debbie? And we got a green rating for that. That was for the 1920 rating. So a little bit of positive news there as well. A lot of work undertaken there. Now I'll shut up.
That's hard to get you to shut up, Sue, sometimes, in the nicest possible way. No, it's been a really positive 3 months, really, even though we're all sitting at a distance. We've had a fantastic community enterprise with the drive-through flu vaccination that was picked up by a group of PCN GP practices across the patch, which was fantastic. And we've got lots of really positive feedback and learning from that can perhaps be taken forward into COVID vaccinations. That's been good. We've had some fantastic, positive and delightful, really, opportunity to give some small grants to some mental health projects that are going across the borough in the last 3 months. Just trying to think what else. Oh, and last week, we had our own sort of coffee and chat morning with all our PPG network members, and it was a brilliant meeting, absolutely brilliant. They came to just talk to us about what they were experiencing. If I say to you that we had 18 GP practices had somebody at that meeting, which I think was probably one of our best coverages, actually, even when we used to have the bigger meetings at Carlton Park Hotel. So, and that was really nice listening to them and hearing about theirs. And as Sue says, in the main, most people are upbeat. Yes, we're hearing about the difficulties that people are experiencing, but certainly communities have come together, and it's a really positive picture out there for the majority of our people. And like Sue says, where people are struggling, we listen and we're able to signpost them to people that might be able to support them a bit further. So yeah, all good, I think, at the moment. And the fact that we've come out, I think, with the green rating, and we were right at the top of the green. If we just had one more point, we would have slipped over into green plus. Then that's good as well. So pleased really with everything that's happening.
Thank you, Debbie. There is an appendix to the report with some of the feedback from the flu drive-through, and we do have a little report that one of the volunteers pulled together, don't we, Debbie, that we can share around. We couldn't put it on this report because it just needed some adjustments in terms of consent for some of the pictures.
Oral study, isn't it, of everybody that was involved, along with personal clients. It's brilliant. It's heartwarming, really, to have a look at the pictures of everybody that was involved. So.
Right. Any other questions, comments about this paper? Okay. Let's move on then. The on-call test.
Shall I take this one, Chair?
Yeah, it's got his name against it, but I think it's probably you, Ruth.
So this is a 6-monthly communications test that we undertake on behalf of the South Yorkshire and Bassett Law CCGs as per the NHS England EPRR framework. And this paper is for assurance that this test has been undertaken and that the system works.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Who was the victim who got called then? Was it an unfortunate time, or was it? Sorry, I shouldn't be asking about a public meeting. I have to keep an eye and not make sure that one of the executive is victimised every year when we test it. Anyway, right. Okay. So that's that. Policies and terms of reference. We have a whole number of policies. I think they come as this within one document. Because if you're on the left side of your reader, that you can navigate your way down it if you don't know. You should be able to take you to each. There's a little bookmark section so every paper has been bookmarked. Okay, so confidential policy, Ian.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. So colleagues might recall that this came through governing body quite recently as an update. However, following the document being approved by governing body and given the fact that we are working under increasing elements of online and video consult engagement across the organisation, there was further narrative that came out around the use of Zoom and Microsoft Teams in kind of confidential settings. So we've updated this document just to reflect that national guidance that came via NHS Digital. So the guidance has been updated and associated staff have been trained, and the expectation around where we use Zoom and Microsoft Teams in the organisation, Chair. So the policy now reflects that. It has been through Aqua, so it's just a note for support today, Chair.
Okay. And John, Aqua, happy with it?
Yes, Chairman. In terms of this policy, yeah, we felt that the update was appropriate. I think I'd probably just say at this stage as well that all the policies in this pack, you know, all the items from agenda item 13 to 21 went to audit committee in November, and we were content, audit committee, that the changes being made to policies were appropriate. They've been through the right processes, and the updates, in many cases, small updates, but in general the updates were all appropriate. So audit committee have supported all the policies that you're looking at this afternoon.
Okay, thank you, John. Any questions about this policy? Oh, okay, gender reassignment policy.
Thank you, Chair. If I could take this and the intellectual property policy together, please. Both have got really minded changes that Alison's has made to these policy, and they are on track change, so you can see that. They are here as part of the governance review for ratification, having been approved by AQUA. I'm happy to take any questions or comments on those.
Okay, and just to clarify, it is gender reassignment within our workplace, it's not the clinical policies.
No.
That's fine. So, any questions? Are we happy to ratify the policy, both gender reassignment and intellectual property? I can see thumbs up. I know some people on YouTube can't see it. I can see people raise their hands virtually. That's fine. Okay, so we will take both those policies as having been. Moving on then, EPRR policy.
Thank you, Chair. So this is on page 73 for those of you that can't navigate the bookmarks. This review is the annual review in line with the governance requirements for this. It's not what I want to do with this policy at this point in time. So following on from the lessons learned with COVID, we need to fully rewrite this policy, but obviously I can't do that within the timeframes that I've got at the moment. So I want to change the next review date to 3 years' time. I'm not saying that it's going to take me 3 years to do it, but to enable us to hopefully move out of the current situation with COVID, complete the learning, and then review the policy and produce a policy that does work under these circumstances without having to come back next year and say, sorry, I'm still not in a position to rewrite this. So for this review, there are no changes suggested, and AQUA was happy with that approach.
Okay, any questions, comments about that? Happy to ratify this policy. Okay. Employment break and secondment policy.
So as you can see from the cover paper, Chair, these are scheduled reviews of these policies with the exception of the flexible working policy, which operational executive have agreed to delay, as this policy needs to dovetail into the new home working policy, which we'll see later on this agenda. This isn't my area of expertise, but I will try to answer any queries you have. The policies are here for ratification, having been approved by AQUA.
Okay, any questions, comments? Are we happy to ratify? Okay, we'll take that as ratified then. Conflict of interest policy.
Thank you, Chair. So this is page 132, and I do apologise that this paper isn't track changed. We've made that many alterations to this policy, it became very difficult to read with the track changes in place. So this policy has had a major review, which has taken quite a while with the support from internal audit colleagues, and it is here for ratification, having been approved by AQUA.
Okay, questions, comments? Okay, happy to ratify it. Okay, we'll ratify that. Health, safety and fire safety policies.
Thank you, Chair. So both these policies have to have a yearly review as per the legislation. Minor changes to both, and they are here for ratification, having been approved by AQUA.
Okay, again, any questions, comments? We're happy to approve these. Okay. Home working policy.
So this is new policy. This has taken quite a bit of work to get to this point. Obviously, as we've changed our working styles due to COVID, we haven't had a policy that has allowed us to work from home previously like this. So we needed this policy in place. It has been approved by AQUA and it is here for ratification. For information, it does go alongside a handbook for staff with regards to home working.
Okay, so this is actually a new policy that we're not reviewing. It's and as depending on the backgrounds, obviously Chris has his own background, but as we are mostly working from home now, I think it's relevant to have one. Any question, comments? Everything's included that you feel that should be included with all our experience of working from home. Okay, so we're happy to ratify it. Okay, and then the last thing is we have RATs, remuneration terms of reference.
So we are suggesting some changes to this, and that is that Ian is added as a member to the remuneration committee to help with quora say. We've also just made a couple of tweaks to Chris's job title, changing it to accountable officer. Remuneration and AQUA are all happy with the changes for this.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Just to confirm, Janet, you're happy with, obviously now as your chair rather than John, you're happy with?
Yep. Yes, Chair. Happy with it.
Okay. Any questions or comments? All right. Okay. Thank you. That was a quick run through a lot of policies. Obviously, we do have our Audit and Quality Committee that goes through them in much more detail, which is why they are briefly discussed here. Audits and reports then. With Ruth, you seem to be another very busy person. We talked about continuing healthcare and everything, but it seems you've been very busy over the last couple of months.
We're playing catch up.
Yeah. Okay, job-specific risk assessments review.
So again, this is an annual review of the job-specific risk assessments that have taken into account this year any of the issues related to COVID on our staff. As you can see, we agreed to combine 2 assessments that were very similar. So now there are 4 job-specific risk assessments in total. These were approved by AQUA and are here for ratification.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Right, and so would anybody approve the paper? Okay. BME risk assessment.
So as part of the COVID-19 suite of risk assessments, we have been asked to complete a specific risk assessment for our Black, Asian and minority ethnic colleagues. This is a second risk assessment that we've completed. The first one was completed during one-to-ones with staff at the very start of the lockdown back in March and April, which helped with our review of the home working situation. And this has now been formalised into this document, which was approved by AQUA and is here for ratification.
Okay, questions, comments? Right, okay. Happy to ratify it. Okay. Quality delivery system.
If I could take both item 25 and 26 together, please, Chair.
That's fine.
So thanks to Alison for producing the annual report. And as it says in the cover paper, we have to produce this. It has to be on the website by the end of January. And this has taken the same format as last year and was approved by the Equality and Diversity Group back in September and AQUA last month. This links to the EDS2 report and submission, which also has to be on the website by the end of January. So as you can see with the report, there's just one change from last year. We are excelling or achieving all the way across the report. And this is the breakdown that is then shown in the annual report. So they do link together. Debbie, I don't know whether you want to say anything further on these.
No, I was just going to say that across the report, just like you said, Ruth, we're excelling and achieving everywhere. And it's quite difficult when we have that meeting and we go through each section, that there is a modesty around the group about, well, can we really put excelling? And often I think that's like when we're all faced with a 1 to 4, you know, you try not to keep going for the top one, but actually there is no reason why we shouldn't use those. And, you know, and it's evident that we are meeting those standards. So that's where that one is. So yeah, so we've taken this to Aqua. It has to be up there by January the 31st. So if everybody's happy with it, then hopefully we can ratify it and we can move on, as they say.
So any questions or comments? Being that we're excellent or outstanding in almost every area, Chris will stare daggers at you if you want to contradict anything. Right. Well, congratulations again on another good piece of work and our continued commitment to this part of our agenda as an organisation.
Yeah, and like Ruth says, thanks to Alison, because it's not an easy job pulling that together.
Okay. Right. Moving on then. Aqua annual report. John.
Yes, Chairman. This is our annual report to governing body of our work in 2019-20. So a little later than usual. I apologise for that, but it sets out how we've carried out our role as required in our terms of reference during the last financial year, and I hope governing body will take assurance from our work. Many of the outcomes of that work, of course, were reported in our annual report and annual accounts work and meetings that we had in the summer. So hopefully that's for assurance, and if there are any questions or comments, I'll try to respond to those.
Okay, questions or comments? Seems to be we're not very vocal this afternoon. Just John, I mean, we've talked before about improving the quality aspect of the committee. How do you feel that's moving on?
Well, I think I'll ask Sue as well to help with that really, but I think we just tried to have the quality aspect of the committee to have, if you like, a higher profile and to make sure that we are meeting our terms of reference in terms of that. So we've been building that up during the year. We try to make sure that any issues that arise from Sue's regular reports to the governing body are followed up within the work of Aqua. I think there are still one or two areas where we will try to continue to develop our work. We've been doing more, for example, around the care quality commissioned review of Rotherham Hospital. We had for example, last year we had the Director of Nursing from Rotherham Hospital come to talk to Aqua about their action plan arising from the review in that year. So I think we just keep trying to, try to work on making sure we maximise that agenda and try to give it some profile. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
Thank you. Just a couple of little things. We did have to get to a stage where we were acknowledging that one or two, in particular, two new committees had come into being in the CCG, which took some of the work that had previously gone. There wasn't anywhere else for that to go. Had gone through Aqua, and that's the IG committee and the primary care committee, and some of that work that had previously gone into Aqua is now covered, and the assurance comes to governing body from those committees. And we do regularly feed in through Aqua the safeguarding work and assurance and the serious incident work and assurance. I think one of the important parts of the assurance of that committee is to follow up and have our providers in the room as well when we're reviewing the content of CQC reports, particularly when we want assurance about progress against the action plans. And we want this in a timely manner, not just via further CQC reports. And I think we are getting that.
Okay, and Jason, you want to make a comment?
Yeah, just to comment that found the deep dives that Aqua are doing particularly useful and interesting, and it's reassuring to see that the quality part, they meet the quality part of the agenda as well. So I'd just like to mention those, which are very useful.
Okay. Any other questions or comments about the AQUA report? Okay, thank you. We will note that. Thank you. Minutes from other meetings. Actually, the remuneration committee is also something we have to. The recommendations there that I don't think Ruth, we haven't made a decision. We have to approve this, don't we, or ratify the decision made by RATS?
No, RATS have made a recommendation that governing body have to approve.
Okay. Right, Janet, do you want to just go through the paper to see what we've been recommended to approve?
And can we note my conflict of interest?
And obviously Chris is it Chris? No. Sorry, no.
I think we also probably.
Sorry, Janet. Looks like it's mine.
Sorry,
as well.
Wendy. You were probably going to say the same as me. I think we have to note yours as well.
Yeah.
And Wendy wasn't at the meeting because of the conflict of interest. This has come about because of the appointment of Chris as the accountable officer to Barnsley and Rotherham CCG, and therefore we've had to look at a redistribution of additional responsibilities for both Ian, which I think we dealt with in the meeting before this, and also the Chief Finance Officer and the Chief Nurse. And so this was to look at the remuneration package for the Chief Finance Officer and the Chief Nurse, and we recommend the salaries are proposed to governing bodies. So my understanding is that they, if I'm correct, Ruth, they have to be agreed by governing bodies. And sorry, I'm just looking down the minutes now for what the salaries are proposed, which I can't find.
Can I help you out there, Janet?
Yes,
So
please, because I'm yeah.
The Chief Finance Officer, the salary is proposed to increase to 105,132 with effect from the 21st of September. And the Chief
got it now, yeah.
is to increase to 92,754, also from the 21st of September.
So that's what we're recommending to governing body.
Is governing body happy to accept those proposals?
So yeah, sorry, Chair, I just need to say as well that that's gone through a process with which we've been advised by Peter Smith, and it's gone through a process, a due process, in order for us to arrive at that figure.
Okay, I think just because this is about pay and things, I think we'll just need to go around and just get everyone's verbal yes or no. So missing out Sue and Wendy, if you just go around. John, happy with these proposals? John?
Yes, Chairman.
Debbie? You're on mute, Debbie.
You're on mute, Debbie.
Can't get the stuff in my room. Yes, definitely in agreement.
Janet?
Yes, in agreement.
Chris?
Yep.
David?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes, can I just check? I think everyone's potentially going to approve of that, but what chorusing number is on that if there's two people down? But yeah, I'm happy with the approval.
Okay. Oh, I think there was enough members there. There was one lay member and there was other.
That's fine. I was just checking. That was all, Richard. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, it was quorum.
Fine. Ruth, you're not a member, are you? You're just an attendee. So that's fine. So, right. Governing body does approve this.
Yes, for me as well, Chair.
Okay. I was just, yeah, not quite conflict of interest. I was just, yeah. All right. Okay. Fine. Moving on then, Primary Care Committee.
Sorry, Chair, I'm just bringing them up. I think this is me again. They're just here for information. I'm happy to take any questions. Just as points, just to pick out a couple of things. We had an update on the dementia pathway development position, which was really useful. And that's coming back again to Primary Care Committee in January. We also had approved some changes to the interpreter services. This had been before and had come back with some more details. We supported the Primary Care South Yorkshire and Bassett Law ICS strategy for primary care, and we had an update on the Primary Care Innovation Fund. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, any questions from anybody? Okay, thank you for that then, Janet. Aqua minutes from September, John.
Yes, Chairman, these are approved minutes from September. The only thing to really make the governing body aware of is that we've had to agree a reduction in the size of the internal audit plan this year. That was mainly because of the capacity of internal audit during the COVID first period, and also our own ability to to handle and work with internal audit. So it's a slightly smaller audit plan this year, and we've agreed how we'll manage the implications of that. I probably should just point out as well to the governing body, we audit committee have agreed to meet on a monthly basis at the moment instead of 2 monthly, and that just really reflects the size of the agenda that we've been working on and the pace at which things are happening at the moment as well. So we are actually going to meet on a monthly basis for the next few months.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for John? Okay, A&E delivery board, Chris.
Ian, I wasn't present, but I guess it would have come up in the performance report. Anything pretty by exception.
Yeah, nothing further to just for information, Chair. Focusing on winter and flu.
Any questions? Okay, ICS, Chris.
Nothing by exception.
Okay. Engagement.
Thanks, Chair. This goes back to September, so looking at what's on the agenda, it seems a long time ago where we were looking at the preparations for flu vaccinations, working with partners about what they were hearing about the impact of COVID-19. That includes Healthwatch and VAR, and that we were planning for our October PPG network meeting, which isn't the one I spoke about earlier in this meeting, it's the one prior to that, at which Dr. Page came along with Sue and spoke about their experiences with COVID-19 and shared that with the PPG group members.
Okay, any questions for Debbie? Okay, and Jeff, 3 sets of minutes from the members. Oh, you're still on mute.
Apologise. Yes, apologies. 3 lots of minutes. I think if we were doing this 5 years ago, I think the printer would have gone for a lie down after today's meeting. But yeah, just I think most of the things in this have come back to the governing body anyway, unless anyone's got any things you want to pick up.
Okay, anything anyone wants to raise? Okay. Moving on then. Don't think we've got any future agenda items for you to raise. There's no other urgent business that's been notified by me. I don't think we've need anything escalating or any additional risks that we haven't already identified. So with that, we'll just move to exclude the public. The representatives of the press and other members of the public will be excluded from the remainder of this meeting due to the confidential nature of the business to be transacted, publicity on which will be prejudicial to the public. So with that, I'll say thank you if you've been watching, and comments, questions are always welcome. The confidential meeting will start at 15:15.